In this video, I'll introduce the Git Diff command, and we'll also learn how to read, how to make sense of its output, which can sometimes be a bit confusing when you're starting out. So the Git Diff command is all about showing changes in Git. So in a given repository, there are many situations where we might want to know what changed between the last commit and our working directory. What's changed between the staging area and the working directory? What's changed between two branches or two different files over a certain number of commits? What's changed between what we have locally versus what's on GitHub? All these different scenarios where we may want to learn about changes, about comparisons. So the git diff command does that. The git diff command is powerful, but also sometimes a bit overwhelming when you're starting out. It doesn't do anything to the repository. It doesn't impact anything. Just like git status and git log, it's purely an informative command. So it's more about just taking a peek at changes and trying to understand how things have changed. Okay, so over here, I've got a pretty large Git repository. I'll just show you there's a bunch of commits. There's a decent number of files. So lots of commits here, lots of files, it's some HTML, some CSS, some JavaScript. And currently, I haven't changed anything since the last commit, right? On branch master, up to date. Okay, so then let's say I spend a couple of hours making some changes. I'm going to fast forward, but I'll show you an example. For whatever reason, I decide, you know what, I want this color to be magenta, and this other color should be, let's go with cyan. I'm just going to use like labeled, named colors so they're easier to identify instead of, this. Let's do coral there. Anyway, I'll make a bunch of changes. Maybe I'll also change some HTML. So in this HTML page, I'm going to change this H1 to say, hey there. And then down at the bottom, I'll make a paragraph and it just says chickens. All right. And then I go to this JavaScript file, grid.js, and somewhere maybe in the middle, I'm going to print out a happy face. Okay. And then back in a CSS file, I changed some font size from 35 pixels to 65 pixels. And let's say I do a whole bunch more, but this is just enough for this demonstration. And I then realized, you know what, I should probably make a commit. I don't remember exactly what I did in each of those files. So if I just go back and look at this file, it's not immediately clear what's changed. Unless I memorized or I exactly know what the file looked like, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly where things changed across these three files. So that's where git diff comes in. The first usage of git diff, it's just git space diff without any additional options. And this will list all the changes in our working directory that are not staged for the next commit. So it compares the staging area and our working directory. So I'll show you an example. Currently, I have not staged anything for commits, right? If I type git status, we see that there are three modifications, three different files, none of them staged. And if I run this git diff command, we see this kind of crazy looking output. It's another one of these windows where I'm not actually in my terminal. I guess I am, but I have to escape this view by typing Q, just like with git log. So anyway, I see all of this, and it's a little bit crazy looking at first. I mean, we see some of the stuff that I changed. We see some red, some green, minus, and pluses. But then what is this? These at signs, -25,7, minus, 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 plus, plus, plus. What does all this stuff go? I mean, it's just kind of crazy looking. But this is the output of git diff. So what I'm going to do in the next video is walk you through how to read this, how to make sense of what's going on here, what's this line doing, what's the minus and the plus mean, and all that stuff that's coming up. But this is just an introduction to the concept. You make a bunch of changes, then you want to try and understand more about what those changes were. And this is one use case for git diff. We just don't really know how to make sense of it yet. So that's the next video.